Saad, can you maybe comment briefly to us on the Democratic forces? How are they doing? I know one of the things we were worried about is that if you rushed elections, especially parliamentary elections in Egypt, that it's the organized forces, the Brotherhood and then the old NDP, that would be the best organized to take advantage of this, and that the Democratic forces would have to organize, and they would have to organize quickly. How are they doing?
Well, I wrote a series of op-ed pieces in the Egyptian press, in Al-Masri Al-Yawm, one of our main dailies, expressing the same apprehension like you just did, and actually addressing the military council, the Supreme Military Council. Last Saturday, that was the article. You members of that council, first of all, you were not elected. That council was handed power by the deposed Egyptian President Mubarak. And they are the ones who are now calling the shots. They have both executive and legislative powers, and they are the ones who set these dates. And my message to them is that this is going to be a disaster, what they are doing, because the only organized groups that are ready for such an early and premature election are two. The remnants of the outgoing National Democratic Party, that is the party that Mubarak had created, and the others are the Muslim Brothers. These two forces, of course, are ready to participate in any election, and they are poised to get a plurality, or together they will get a majority, and that will be a setback and a big disservice to the sacrifices that the young people in Tahrir Square had went through. So I appeal to everybody who's interested, and I hope all the Democrats around the world are interested in seeing that the Egyptian transition will move smoothly and constructively. I hope everybody will prevail on those who have power to postpone that election at least for 6 months to a year until the new forces, the young people, can organize themselves.
What do they have to do, Saad?
Well, the young people need, first of all, they have a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of dedication. What they don't have is the organizational skills. And that is where an organization like yours, CARD, the National Endowment for Democracy, NDR, IRI, IFA, NED in Sweden, all of these organizations, democracy promoting, democracy supportive organizations can come in and help the young people who staged one of the most glorious revolutions in history, the Tahrir Square revolution, can help them get organized, can help them, train them in some of the electoral skills to be able to compete and to compete as equal as possible.
Saad, you mentioned the Community of Democracies, which once again is an international association of democratic countries that will be meeting in its 6th international ministerial meeting in Vilnius at the end of June. What does the international community have to do, Saad, to help you succeed?
Well, a number of things. One is to prevail on the Supreme Military Council to postpone the election. Two, to offer their help to the younger Democrats of Egypt to get organized. And three, to be active participants, active monitors, active observers of the transition in Egypt. These are the 3 or 4 things that I would like to recommend to you and to others. And I am going to the Community of Democracy meeting later this summer. And I'm going to convey the same message. And I'm conveying it now, and I'll continue to convey it in writing.
Saad, some of us are worried about the economic situation, that Egypt has suffered a serious blow because of the turmoil, because of the loss of tourism money, that, everything I read is that they're not undertaking the necessary economic reforms that are going to be needed for Egypt to get back on its feet. What has to be done at that level?
Well, the least that could be done is to cancel the debts of Egypt. There was a very encouraging step by President Obama for giving Egypt for $1 billion, but Egypt has a debt of over $200 billion. And I think the United States should lead the creditors of Egypt in dropping the entire debt that Egypt had. After all, a revolution like what we witnessed in Egypt has to succeed. Egypt has to become a model, Egypt and Tunisia, I must say. And if these two countries can lead and have a successful transition into a full-fledged democracy, then the whole Middle East will transform. And here I want to make a prediction which hardly is made, and I'd like to emphasize that democracy and peace are two sides of the same coin, and I keep recalling what the great German philosopher Immanuel Kant said about democracies do not go to war with each other. So for those also who are interested in peace in the Middle East, this democratic revolution should succeed, and by its success, we will also guarantee a peace, a lasting peace in the Middle East.
Saad, I want you to know, I don't think I've told you this yet, but on June the 22nd, in the Congress, the NED is going to be presenting its Democracy Award to all the people in Egypt and Tunisia who struggled and gave their lives for freedom. And we've selected two individuals to receive this award. We realize there was no leader of this movement, but we've selected the sister of Khaled Saad is going to be coming to Washington. He's the blogger who was murdered by the Egyptian police in June 2010. They created the We Are All Khaled Saad website, which called for the January 25th revolution. It had 500,000 Egyptians on this website. The sister of Khaled Saad is going to be coming to receive this tribute on behalf of the Egyptian people. And then a young blogger, an activist, teacher, trade unionist from Sidi Bouzid, the city in Tunisia, where it all started on December the 17th when Mohamed Bouazizi immolated himself, will be coming to receive the award on behalf of the Tunisian people. And we hope this will be an opportunity to rally support for a continuation of the support for the struggle that is going to be a difficult struggle in both Egypt and Tunisia.
Absolutely. This is commendable, and I thank you, and I thank everybody who thought of honoring these relatives of freedom fighters, martyrs who have died for the cause of freedom and democracy. And I think that will resonate all over the Middle East, all over the Arab world. And I cannot thank you enough for doing this, Carl. And I hope you convey my gratitude to all of those who thought of these events.
Right.
And I'm glad that you are part of it. You are one of the godfathers of the democratic movement in our part of the world.
Thank you, Saad. And we want to stay connected as we go forward here because we hope that it will resonate not only internationally, but obviously in Egypt as well. It's now my opportunity, Saad. Majid Nawaz wanted to say hello to you. He's never, he hasn't seen you since you were in prison together. He'd like to catch up with you a little bit. He's here with us this afternoon. Let me call on, he may have a question for you too, but I know he wants to say a few words. Majid?
Sure.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Majid.
How are you?
Wonderful to hear your voice.
And you. Both of us are more grey than since we were when we were walking around the courtyard in Mazra'atura prison. And I think it must be something to do with the fool that we had every day. Egyptian fool is it's very tasty and filling. One dose lasts you for the whole day. Doctor, I wanted to take this opportunity, first of all, because we haven't had the opportunity to meet since leaving prison. We keep missing each other literally by days or moments. And I thought you were coming here, and obviously you're here virtually. So again, we've missed the opportunity to meet in person. When I do meet, I will embrace you. And the reason is because back in 2002, as you may remember, I was still inside an extreme Islamist organization, Hizb ut-Tahrir. And I was in prison with you for my views, and I was attempting to bring the exact opposite of what's now happened in Egypt. I just want to thank you because in conversation with yourself and later on with Ayman Noor, both of you two helped bring about the Arab Spring in my heart in 2002, way before it played out on the streets. And I think you're pioneers leading the way. And of course, as you know, since then, I went on to leave Hizb ut-Tahrir, and I'm doing work across the world in challenging the ideology of Islamism and helping to promote democratic activism, such as in countries like Pakistan. So thank you, first of all, for the inspiration that you brought me in prison. You touched upon the role of Saudi.
Majid?
Yes.
May I? Majid, we, both of us, for days rotting in those cold, dark cells of the Torah prison, we never probably thought the day will come that we will be talking to each other across oceans, across continents, and having this glorious spring of freedom. So again, it renews our faith. Never give up, never despair. The dawn of freedom will always break through. So I'm glad to hear your voice, and I'm ready to take any questions from you.
So just very quickly, I know there are many other people that want to speak to you. You mentioned the role of Saudi Arabia. Now, I've started, along with many others in Pakistan, we founded a movement called Khudi, which is modeled along the lines of people like the April 6 in Egypt. And the idea is to challenge extremism through debate and civil society action on the ground and to promote the democratic culture. Now, one of the things that we are suffering from in Pakistan is what you mentioned as well in Egypt, and that's the role of the petrodollars coming from Saudi Arabia funding the spread of a certain interpretation of Islam. Now, there were two roles I had in mind that you could potentially play. One would be to go to Egypt and provide leadership to the young people in helping the young Democrats, in helping them organize, as you mentioned. But the other, while you're in DC, is to use all of your potential clout and your political acumen in lobbying, especially Western governments, and raising awareness about the role that Saudi Arabia is playing in exporting a particular brand of Islam, which is holding back democratic progress in countries like Egypt and Pakistan. And I'm wondering if I can invite your thoughts on the role that you think you could and should play in raising awareness about this and lobbying with the US government as to what can be done more to pressure the Saudi government to stop exporting this particular conservative interpretation of Islam, which holds back democratic progress.